If you're like me, you've probably noticed the sudden flurry of YouTube Videosphere creators shilling the new Ugreen NAS, but let's be honest, if you want the best, you wouldn't touch it. It's actually a bit embarrassing seeing channels I really respect recommending it with a straight face. When you think serious, professional NAS solutions, no one ever thinks Ugreen. They're the guys who make cheap USB cables, right? I'm happy to trust them with that. Would I trust them with the long-term archival of my precious footage and data? Would you? I've arrived at my own solution the same way I arrive at most gear choices, by chasing the absolute best. That almost always means spending a bit more, and sometimes it means changing course a bit sooner than I'd like or am ready to, but it always means my workflow is built on rock solid confidence and strong foundations. Anyway, let's go upstairs and take a closer look. For the last couple of years, I've been running a rack-mounted Synology RS820 Plus with a 10GB PCIe adapter card. When I bought it, it felt future-proof, and it sat beautifully in my DeFi Sidecar. It's enterprise grade, had bulletproof reliability, and it did the job really well. But when the Red Komodo X arrived, bringing with it those massive R3D file sizes, I realized its days were numbered. Yes, I could have added the expansion module for another 4 bays, but at $600, in addition to the $1,200 I'd already spent on the base unit, and that's without buying drives, the cost to performance ratio just wasn't stacking up. And even with the 10GB card, the I/O felt like it was running at legacy speeds. Synology is a rock solid option, no question, but the hardware and software are showing their age. I wanted something more modern and something that integrated harmoniously with my existing Ubiquiti network stack, which is a UDM Pro SE and a USW16 PoE switch. That Synology lived inside my DeFi Sidecar, which, if you've seen it, you'll know is one of the most attractive ways to keep rack gear from making your studio look like a server room. A quick disclosure, I've put a link to the DeFi Sidecar in the description below. It's actually an affiliate link. If you use it, all being well, I'll earn a small commission with no extra cost to you. The Sidecar itself is a genuinely handsome bit of furniture. If you're trying to keep your studio from looking like the IT department, it goes all the way. So if you're in the market for something like it, using my link is a fantastic way to support the channel. And while we're on the Sidecar, let me give you a quick overview of what else is living in there. It's not just the NAS, there's a Wii Pro for my home AV, a Unifi amplify router, that's actually part of a legacy system that I still need to maintain because it keeps alive a mesh network in the apartment below, and embarrassingly, my U6 access point is a temporary location, I promise. I just need to reroute some CCTV cabling before I can relocate it to the ceiling. And speaking of CCTV, my UDM Pro not only runs the network, it runs the whole security system too, which is pretty groovy. And behind the side door, that's where Meg's Nintendo Switch and my PS5 live, right next to the smart meter display and a spare length of Cat6 with a USB-C network adapter, just in case I need an Ethernet connection to my MacBook Pro for any reason. And then, sitting proudly on top, the venerable Technics 1210 turntable, and also a more modern Pioneer XTJ RX3 controller, both a little nod to my past life running nightclubs and playing the occasional DJ set. And so that's the rack. 100% practical, 100% indulgent, and 100% a system that is absolutely rock solid and works for me. So Ubiquiti is well known for their network gear, but they've recently also entered the NAS game, and in doing so, they've kind of flipped it on its head. The unit I'm running now has a built-in 10G SFP Plus port, 7 bays as standard, which is actually a bit of an unusual number, and the latest Ubiquiti drive software, which lets me mix and match RAID types, keeping a couple of bays free for SSDs while using the rest for bulk spinning storage. Another thing that's easy to overlook is actually really quiet. The old Synology's fan blew like a hairdryer. It's power efficient, and while Ubiquiti are new to NAS, they are the absolute top of the enterprise networking industry, with years in CCTV as well, so they really know how to design hardware and software that feels integrated. For my money, they're the Apple of the networking world. And the price? $499, excluding drives. Compare that to Synology or QNAP, which, by the way, are the only other 2 NAS brands you should ever seriously consider, and the value proposition is ridiculous. And when this unit fills up, which it inevitably will, the plan is simple. I'll buy another, migrate the SSDs over, and dedicate 1 box to cold storage and 1 to fast SSD editing storage, all connected over a 10G connection. By then, like I mentioned, I'll have a wired Mac Studio, and I'll be editing straight off the NAS. Life will be fast, smooth, and reliable. The other upside of Ubiquiti is ecosystem thinking. My Unifi network gear and the NAS talk to each other seamlessly. I don't need to wrangle different UIs or bounce between ecosystems. The hardware and software feel like a single, considered environment. That means less troubleshooting, less friction, and much more confidence when I'm moving terabytes of irreplaceable footage and data around. Of course, in the meantime, I'm still using portable SSDs as working drives, made by Crucial in my case. They're small, fast, bus-powered, and they're perfect for projects in flight. But let me give you a warning, those SanDisk SSDs, the ones that have been everywhere for a few years, they've earned a reputation for early failure. I've seen it, and so have plenty of others. So if you're using one, I implore you to stop and replace it with something else. Samsung and Crucial have fantastic offerings, and right now I'm loving the X10 Pros in 4TB from Crucial. I find 4TB is the sweet spot for decent sized projects, and a failed drive isn't just inconvenient, it can be catastrophic. If you're shooting client work, you really don't want to have that phone call. And even personal projects can be devastating to lose. And that's why my workflow has built in multiple layers of redundancy, because hardware does fail and it only happens at the worst possible time. If you're finding this helpful, tap subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I share more behind the scenes in real time on Instagram. Shoots, a little bit of network tinkering, the occasional day at sea, so follow there if you'd like seeing this stuff unfold in between uploads. So here's my workflow. At the end of a shoot day, assuming I'm somewhere near my editing station, I offload camera cards to a fresh SSD dedicated to that project. Once that transfer is complete, I copy the SSD onto the Ubiquiti NAS. That means footage is immediately in 3 places. 1 on the original camera card, 2 on the project SSD, and 3 on the NAS. The card then goes to the bottom of the deck and doesn't get formatted until it's needed in camera for a future shoot. The NAS itself is set to RAID 5, which means 1 drive of redundancy. That's enough fault tolerance for my needs and risk appetite. And on top of that, the NAS runs nightly snapshots. Meanwhile, the FCP library I'm actively working on lives on the SSD, but I back it up to the NAS every night. Worst case, and this would still suck, I'd lose a single day's editing, but it's a risk I can live with. And when the project wraps, that SSD goes to the bottom of the stack, and it's only when I start a brand new project on that SSD in weeks or months to come does it get formatted. This is where the 3 places rule really matters. You'll often hear about the 3-2-1 backup strategy. 3 copies of your data, 2 on different media, 1 offsite. I'm still not there quite yet with offsite, but adding a second NAS or using Cloud Sync for my finished projects, it is on the roadmap. For most freelancers though, just getting your media into 3 separate places is already a huge step forward compared to working off a single drive. And if you're thinking, is RAID enough? Remember, RAID is not actually a backup, it's a redundancy. So it keeps you safe from drive failure, but not from accidental deletion or corruption. That's why I also run snapshots and why the SSDs get archived. A real world example might be, a drive could survive 5 years plus, but it could also die in year 2. With RAID, another drive in the array keeps you covered. And with nightly snapshots, if you delete something by accident, and we've all done it, you can roll right back. With archived SSDs, if the whole NAS fails, you still have another copy. If you're building your own backup strategy, there are a few easy mistakes to avoid. Relying on a single drive, don't keep your entire project on one external SSD or hard drive disk. Drives fail. You have to assume that they will. Formatting too soon? Keep your media cards until you've verified multiple backups. If the client rings up asking for a missing clip, you'll be glad you did. Confusing RAID with a backup? Redundancy is not exactly a backup strategy. You still need independent copies. Ignoring snapshots or versioning? These save you when you accidentally overwrite or delete something. We've all done it. And the last one is not testing restores. A backup is only as good as your ability to restore it. So every so often, it pays to simulate a failure and make sure your workflow holds up as you expect it to. So like I said, this is still an evolving workflow. And as my requirements change, so will my strategy. Eventually though, I'd like 2 NAS units. One with all spinning drives for deep cold storage, and one all SSD for editing. The external project SSDs will probably still exist for portability, but my main editing will take place over a 10G wired connection straight to the NAS. And then my strategy will be camera cards, project SSDs, editing NAS, cold storage NAS. That'll be 4 layers before anything ever gets archived to the cloud. So it's belt and braces, but it's what gives me the confidence to say yes to jobs without worrying about whether my infrastructure can keep up. And so there you have it. That's my strategy. It's probably imperfect, but for my needs, it's robust enough to let me sleep at night. But I'm curious, and I realize there's so much expertise to learn from this community. So what's your data workflow? Do you keep it simple with external risky OneDrive solutions? Or have you made the investment in a NAS like I have? Please tell me you're not running a URI NAS, but whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. Because I think this is one of those topics where every filmmaker will have come to their own solution. And like I mentioned earlier, if you want to see some of this gear in use, or just follow along in real time, check out my Instagram. If you found this useful, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Jack. Whatever this is, I'm calling it Western Approaches, and thank you for watching.